Dam failures are always a super scary thing. They can cause major damage, like destroying rivers, lakes, homes, and even entire cities. And in some cases, it can lead to the loss of many lives. Unfortunately, this happened when the Derna Dams in Libya failed in 2023. In this video, we'll take a look at what caused these dams to fail and what could have been done to prevent such a disaster. First, let's talk about what dams are and why they are important. A dam is basically a big wall built across a river or stream to hold back water. This is a big lake called a reservoir that can be used for many things. It can supply water to cities, make electricity, and prevent floods. Some of these reservoirs can even serve a secondary purpose and can be used for recreation. As far as how dams are made, dams can be made out of different materials like concrete, steel, and even dirt, or as engineers call it, soil. When dams are made out of soil, we call them earthen embankments. These types of dams are built by piling up many layers of soil and then pressed tightly together or compacted. Engineers also need to carefully select the soil to make sure it can be compacted super well. This is so that the wall of soil can create a strong enough barrier that can hold back the water without leaking too much or collapsing. For the Derna Dams in Libya, an earthen embankment design was used to build the dams, which were finished in 1977. They were built to control the flow of water and to store water for the city of Derna. There were actually two dams built for this facility, the upper dam and the lower dam. Both dams were very important for controlling the water supply. They provided water to local communities, helped water the crops, and protected the city from floods. But then, in 2023, the massive storm Daniel hit this region in Libya. This storm brought a record-breaking amount of rain over a very short period of time. And when a lot of rain falls quickly, it can make rivers and streams overflow and flood nearby areas. The heavy rainfall and the surrounding flooded areas put a ton of pressure on the Derna Dams, which eventually led them to fail. Next, let's talk about the several reasons that caused the dams to fail. One of the main reasons the Derna Dams failed was because no one kept up with the maintenance of the dams after they were built. Maintenance means taking care of something to make sure it stays in good working order. It's like taking care of a car. If you don't change the oil or fix the small problems as they come up, the car can break down. Well, for the Derna Dams, these types of regular inspections and repairs were not done. It turns out that there were small cracks and leaks in the dam that could have been fixed had officials paid attention. But since they were ignored, these small issues ended up becoming big problems over time. Another reason the Derna Dams failed is because there were a lot of geotechnical problems with the dam. Geotechnical engineering is about understanding the soil, rocks, and materials used to build things like dams. And the ground under and around the Derna Dams was not as strong as it should have been. So, the soil under the Derna Dams was actually slowly being eaten away by the water the dams were holding back. This process is called erosion. The erosion made the ground weaker, and so the dam was less able to support the heavy weight of the water in the reservoir. The geotechnical problem of seepage was also an issue. Seepage is when water leaks through the ground and through the dam itself. If too much water leaks through, it can weaken the dam. And the Derna Dams had a lot of seepage that was not managed correctly. The way the Derna Dams were designed also played a role in why they failed. A design flaw is a mistake in the planning of how something is built, and the Derna Dams had some of these flaws. One flaw was that the dams didn't have spillways that were good enough for what was needed. A spillway is a structure that allows water to flow out of the reservoir in such a way that engineers can control how much comes out. And the spillways on the Derna Dams were not big enough to handle the massive amount of water from the 2023 storm. This caused water to overflow the dam, putting extra pressure on it. The dams were also built many years ago, and the design standards at the time were not as advanced as they are today. Since then, engineers have studied dams a lot and have figured out how to design them to be stronger and more sturdy. New modern dams are now built to withstand bigger storms and higher water levels. So, now that we talked about some of the reasons why the Derna Dams failed, next, let's talk about how much devastation the failures caused in Libya. When the dams failed, all the water they were holding back was released. This caused sudden, strong flooding that flowed from the mountains down into the city of Derna. And these floodwaters that came crashing down didn't just go in a straight path. They flooded a huge area and destroyed many communities downstream. To give you an idea of the scale, imagine an area the size of several big cities combined being underwater. So, needless to say, the economic impact of the dam failure was huge. Many businesses had to close because their buildings were damaged or destroyed, which meant people lost their jobs and income. Roads, bridges, and public places like schools and hospitals were also damaged. Homes were ruined or swept away, so many people had to leave and stay in temporary shelters while waiting for their homes to be rebuilt. The cost of rebuilding the city is estimated to be over $1.5 billion and will take a very long time since it's like building a whole new town from scratch. And as if the economic impacts weren't enough, there was a huge tragic loss of life because of this disaster. Since it happened in the middle of the night and happened quickly without warning, people didn't have time to evacuate. It has been reported that about 6,000 people were killed and over 8,000 people are still missing. This terrible loss of life reminds us how important it is to keep our buildings and structures safe and maintained. So, what can be done to prevent our current and future new dams from failing? As we talked about earlier, regular inspections and maintenance are crucial for keeping our current dams safe. Engineers should check for cracks, leaks, and other signs of wear and tear on a regular basis. And if any issues are found, they need to be fixed right away. Even the smallest repairs can prevent big problems later down the road. For new dams, engineers should do thorough geotechnical surveys before designing and building them. This means studying the soil and rock to make sure they are strong enough to support the dam. And for current dams, surveys should be regularly done to look for weak spots that need extra reinforcement. Also, using modern design standards can make dams safer. Engineers should design larger spillways to handle extreme weather and make sure these structures can handle higher water pressures. If a dam is old, engineers should check it whenever new design standards come out to see if it needs improvements. Finally, having a solid emergency plan is very important. This includes regular drills and clear communication with the public. If experts think a dam might fail, the dam owners need a way to quickly notify officials so people can evacuate safely. So, what we learned is that the failure of the Derna Dams in 2023 was a disaster that could have been prevented. With better maintenance, understanding the ground conditions during design, prioritizing repairs, and being prepared for emergencies, thousands of lives could have been saved. By learning from this tragedy, we need to support the engineers who design and build our dams and those who check our old dams so that they can be repaired and upgraded when needed. Thanks for watching. We hope you learned a lot about the Derna Dams failures and what can be done to prevent more dams from failing in the future. And remember to subscribe to our channel because engineering is for everyone.